Oh, okay. So basically, I just want you to tell your story and how we got here, and
Yeah.
kind of wanted to pick your brain about mm, Black financial illiteracy, your thoughts on closing the wealth gap, things of that nature when we get towards more the business side of you. But because you have a pretty inspiring story, and I just want people to know more of it, of you, and the resolve and strength it took for you to get past all that, and what was the motivation, all that good stuff to get you here.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. So yeah, love it. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, we'll just flow. We'll have good
Yeah,
conversation. We'll just flow and I wonder if I need on a little necklace or something. I feel a little bare. I feel naked. Let me see.
stunned with the cars
Put,
and
put,
the rings and stuff. Just be
put
like,
something
wow.
around my neck or something. I don't know. I'm like, shit, I feel naked out here in these streets. I feel naked. I'm like, let me see what's going on. Shit. See what I got to do. I don't know. Let me put on a little something. I got the watch on. Let me just, I think that's fine. I think we good.
Oh,
Let me,
we can tell by the Jubilee bracelet. We know what type of watch that is.
are
For
you
those
so funny?
we those of us know we know.
No. I'm just like, okay, let me just make sure like everything is good because I'm like, oh, I need my hair done. All right, let's flow with it. So what am I calling you? Super Sly? What you want to call you?
Slide. No, we
Sly.
go.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because you know I know the government.
Yes, you do.
You know I know the government. So I'm like, okay, what we rolling with? We doing the government? What we doing? I see the super Sly. Like, what we gonna do?
No, slide. You know, knew that slide's
We'll
cool.
do Sly. Okay, I like Sly. That's cool. All right, let's rock and roll. I'm ready.
So, you had a kind of a rough upbringing. Well, not I don't say upbringing, but early on you made some decisions that would set normal people back, especially young women. And can you talk a little bit briefly about what happened and what how did you find the resolve to kind of persevere through that?
Yeah. So, first of all, I grew up in Roanoke, Virginia, little small city. And I actually grew up in a two-parent household. So I did have two parents, they were married, mom and dad. And I became a teen mom. I had my first daughter at 15 years old and my second daughter at 17. Dropped out of high school, got a GED. Like I wasn't one of those like slackers where you just drop out and you just don't do anything. You just settle for public assistance. No, I dropped out of high school and immediately when I dropped out, I got my GED because um, I wanted to. Like, I had to go to work. Like I had these two kids, and I'm like, I can't have my parents taking care of and I'm like, I'm 17. I got to really do something. And something that some people don't know, and it's my story, I'm not ashamed of it, is that I actually I was in and out of group homes. I was a troubled teen, in and out of group homes, man. Like I was out there running the streets, man. Just I was out there, man. I just wanted to party. I wanted to have a good time. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I was out there and I would hang with a lot of older
Mhm.
people and I was just doing stuff really fast, just moving really fast. Like, like man, like, when was the first time you took your first sip of alcohol, like your first drink, and what was it?
I didn't drink till I okay. Drinks with my father when I was 3 and 4 doesn't count. So
Oh, wait a minute, hold on.
no, my dad was in a biker gang, and the clubhouse and all the guys would come to the house, and they're like, "Dad, give me some of your beer." I'm a little kid, and he's like, "Okay, take a little sip," and I'm like, "That
And you
that
like,
doesn't count." Official drink. I didn't drink till I was 21.
oh, okay, okay. See, I was out there wilding. I was out there doing that at 13, man. I'm out here. My first drink was Mad Dog 2020 with this lady, like I didn't know. Like it was with this lady. She was older, way older. I think her name was Sharon. And she lived in the projects. And we lived across the street from the projects. And we used to all hang out in Miss Sharon's house. And so that was my first drink, Mad Dog 2020 at 13 years old. And so I just wanted to have fun. I was like out there just having fun and stuff. Summer times were the best. And had the kids super early. You know what I mean? First daughter at 15, second at 17, and dropped out of high school, got the GED immediately. And I'm like, all right, let me just get the GED so I can just start working. And I did work like jobs and things like that. I had one little stint with public housing. It was low income housing. It was more so like I don't know what you call it, but like the based on your income. And I got emancipated when I was 17. I got emancipated. So,
what sparked that? So many questions I want to ask, but why would you, what led to that? Or that was just something you decided it was best for you?
So, I mean, I had the two kids, and at that time, my parents were divorcing, and I was like, okay, I need to kind of get my own place. And the only way you could do it at that age was to be emancipated. You know what I mean? So you could be legally declared an adult. So I did that, and it was like crazy because it was like during my parents' divorce proceeding, they also had my emancipation proceeding at the same time. So I got emancipated. Both of my parents were like, yeah, just that's fine. So they signed off on it. Judge signed off on it, and I was able to get my first place. And so I did, and I had a little stint where I did go to jail. I went to juvie for like 30 days because I mean I was just out here doing crazy stuff, and
I'm looking at you and I'm like, no, not you.
I mean, because like right now, because I live in suburbia right now, like, you know what I mean? Like I've transformed my life. Like literally you can come from anything. Like real talk, seriously, real talk. Like, let me kind of speak life into young moms or even young men or whatever that, was in that situation, is currently in that situation. You can change your life. You can transform your life. And I went to jail. Like there was a bunch of stuff. Like I stole some clothes out of I think it was Hex or something back in the day, like one of those stores. And also too, I got into a fight with this girl. She pressed charges on me, and so like when I went in there in front of the judge was like, I'm tired of seeing you here. He was like 30 days. And I was like, dang. So then so then like they did the whole little thing, but this is how like God works, because I was 17 and I literally had like, when I got out of that juvie situation, I turned 18 like a week later.
Okay.
Record sealed. You know what I mean? So yeah, because it was juvie. So record sealed. You can't see nothing. You know what I mean? So that was good. So I was able to, once I, kind of like got out, and sounds so crazy, but once I was locked up, they won't let me. But anyhow, once I can laugh now. You know what I mean? I can laugh now. So anyhow, once I got out, this light is really bright in my eyes. But once I got out, I said I need to change. And there was this doctor, and I met him, and he said, what do you do? And I said, well, I don't really have like a career path right now. And he said, why don't you become a flight attendant? My sister. No, actually, he didn't suggest that. He said, well, what would you want to do? And I said, maybe a flight attendant. And he said, well, my sister works at an airline. She's in the HR department. I can like hook you up. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. So I went on these, he hooked me up. He was like, bring me your resume, type up one. So I had someone to help me type up my resume, took it to him, gave it to his sister, and I started going on interviews like crazy. I'm like, what, 18? I was 18. I'm going on interviews like crazy. So they were flying me to different places. I went to this place. It's a little place up in like Michigan or something, or Illinois or something. It's Kalamazoo.
It's in Michigan. Yeah, Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah, they flew me up there.
Right.
Yeah. And it was like a little small commuter, and I don't want to say commuter, but like a connector airline type thing. Anyway, went there and so many other places, and I got hired. And I just remember being in this interview in a very large room with a bunch of women, and they would call us up in front of the room, in front of all of these women who were like auditioning, kind of like that's what it was like. And they called me up, and they in front of everybody, and everybody was like Miss Congeniality, so bubbly. And at that time, that wasn't my personality. At that time, it was just more like, where the bag, where the money,
Right.
Let's get to the bag. So they call me up there and they're like, why do you feel you would be the perfect candidate for this position? And I said, I'm young, I'm ambitious, and, something to the effect of like, I can do this.
Mhm.
And I sat down and I got the job. Like they messaged me and they're like, hey, emailed me, you got the job, da 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 da. Fantastic. So moving on, 9/11 happened. I was supposed to start training, and 9/11 happened. And like I was supposed to start training like 3 weeks after that whole thing. So they called me, the airline and the recruiter, and she was like, okay, you due to start training on this day, we're going to fly you here. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do it. I was just
Wow.
like, yeah, it was just like the timing was off. And, I was just like, I just don't think this is right for me. And
Okay.
so she was really pissed. So I just remember her being like, well, you committed to this and da da da. And I said, yeah, I just don't think it's right for me at this time. But I'm pretty sure they were having a hard time filling those roles,
Mhm.
So just due to that tragedy. So anyway, that didn't work out. I just started doing like clerical work, like office jobs through temp agencies. And then my dad put me on with a position at a company, at a nonprofit organization that he was a director at. And I was an administrative assistant to like, one of his colleagues. And that was a really cool thing. And then I was just like, I think I want to get out of here. I think I want to move to Charlotte.
Okay.
So I like put in my notice and I moved to Charlotte.
So part of this free spirit, part of it of you is a free spirit. Is that correct to a certain extent?
Did you gather that from everything I was saying?
Kind of, yeah. That's a good thing, no, because you don't like to sit long in places. You can't be contained, and if you feel the urge to do something, you're going to do it, whether good or bad. So yeah, free spirit. I don't know. I love who doesn't like a free spirit? Only those that try to contain those type of entities have issues with people being free spirits. So yeah.
Yeah. And structure was
Yes.
always like an issue for me because I like structure, but not too much.
Okay.
But I'm in my 40s now. So the older you get, you kind of like, okay, wait a minute. Let me back up. I need a bit of balance right here. You know what I mean? Still got that free spirit, but like, okay, I need a bit of balance. Yeah, moved to Charlotte. I worked for the Charlotte Housing Authority as like the receptionist in the executive office,
Okay.
like where the executives were, and moved on to Bank of America. I was in their human resources department, and that was a really interesting job because I had this GED, and I got in at Bank of America through a temp agency, and they really liked me. I started off in like the loans department, like loan processing, and I was assisting the loan processors, like organizing their files and doing some other things. And then after a year, that position like went away through the temp agency. And so the temp agency was like, well, look, we have this other role. It's in the HR department. A lady's pregnant, and they need an administrative assistant to take her place while she's out on maternity leave. And I was like, cool. So I go, they love me. They're like, we want to hire you on permanently, but just not in this role. So the manager, like, people just always really liked me and took to me. So she was like, look, we're going to find you a role. So she found me a role with one of her colleagues, this lady named Amy Kazmerzak. She was super awesome. She needed an assistant. We hit it off very well, had similar personalities. And I became her administrative assistant. She was the HR leadership development executive for HR and for the risk department, and for global enterprises and other things. It was years ago. I'm trying to re-jog my memory. And I just had like administrative duties for her. And she would offer support to the CEO of Bank of America, HR support, leadership development support to the CEO at the time, which was Ken Lewis. And I was able to interact with Ken Lewis, the board members of the bank. So anyway, I'm just taking you on the journey to just kind of show you like the background. You know what I mean? Yeah. We'll get to all of that other stuff in a moment. And it was really cool. I mean, I did feel intimidated in a lot of situations because my vocabulary and my level of thinking only went to a certain degree because I was GED educated. Not saying I wasn't smart. I was always very smart and quick on my feet. But I'm here with people who have masters, doctorates. They're like executives at this Fortune, 100 company, Fortune 500, 100 company. And what I used to do back then, because like I would have to type emails to them, and some of the words they would use in their emails, I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? I purchased like a little pocket thesaurus and a pocket dictionary, and I'll keep it inside my desk and just like look and see what the words meant and like make my emails more colorful. Yeah. I do that. And my manager, she was awesome, man. I got pregnant, and something she did she wasn't supposed to do, because I wasn't like a full-time employee for a whole year before they could grant you maternity leave. Because we were HR, they just like kept me on payroll. She was like, no, say anything, I'm just gonna keep you on payroll while you're out. Nice. And I had a cesarean, so with my son, and so I was out for like 2-3 months. They kept paying me, and then she was like, "When you coming back? You gotta come back now." And I was like, "All right, I'm coming back." But anyway, they sent her to the UK, to Chester, to do like some other stuff with the bank. So my job was just kind of lingering, and at that time, my husband, because I was married to my son's father at that time, and we were like, let's just move. You know what I mean? So we moved to LA, and it was other reasons why we moved too. We had a crazy ex that was harassing us, and we were just like, let's just get up out of here. So that's a lot to unpack. That's how we got to LA. So what questions do you have about because I could go on and slide. Like I could go on. Like when I say it was a lot, like it was myself, my ex-husband, who was 8 years older than me, and my son, who was an infant. He was 7 months. My daughter, Amani, she was 7 years old. And my daughter, Aaliyah, she was 9. So we all just and the way we got to LA was insane. It was crazy, like our journey.
So what made you guys pick LA out of all the places at the time?
Right. Okay. So it was him. So like I told the bank, like, look, hey, I'm looking for another job somewhere else. I want to relocate. I wanted Chicago.
Really?
Okay. I wanted Chicago because they were acquiring, was it MBNA? Yeah, they were acquiring MBNA at that time. And then they also acquired Countrywide. And they were like, well, we got jobs in Chicago or LA. And I was like, I think Chicago is not that far of a plane ride. And, but then my ex was like, I think the kids gonna like LA better. And I was like, you think so? He was like, yeah. And he was like, the weather. No, neither one of us had ever been to LA before.
Talk about leaping out on faith. That's deep. Okay.
I guess it is like a free spirit type thing, huh? So he had a really good friend who was a comedian in LA. It was his high school friend. And so he was like, let's just go there. I was like, okay, cool. So the flights to LA were too expensive. So I literally said, like, let's fly to Vegas and then we'll get a rental car and we'll drive. We literally sold everything. We got rid of everything we had, every piece of furniture, everything we had in that house we were in. Sold everything and flew to Vegas. It was a freak windstorm when we went to Vegas. Like the plane was so shaky coming in for landing. It was a sandstorm. It was sand blowing. It was the crazy experience. We get to Vegas and it's the kids and then like I booked the hotel Circus. I'm thinking like, oh, it'll be fun for the kids. Lord, when we got there, it was like the ghetto. I was like the ghetto of hotels in Vegas. I was like, oh my God. Like it was literally smoke smell in the room and it was disgusting because they had like these like, they had the main tower and then they had like these little manors or something. Like they put us in one of those manor rooms. I said, oh no. I went to the management and I said, my baby is in here. This is not going to work. They put us in the main tower, which was better.
Okay.
Spent the night in Vegas. And the next day we drove to LA. Drive to LA. The traffic was so bad. God, it took us like 8 hours. And I had to be to work the next day. This was a Sunday. And we finally get to LA and I'm thinking his friend has like a 2-bedroom apartment at least. It was a 1-bedroom apartment. Oh, yeah, we went to go stay with his friend. That's the part I done.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
So we're in this 1-bedroom apartment with his friend. And his friend, we had to sleep on a blow-up mattress on the floor in the living room in his friend's 1-bedroom apartment in North Hollywood. It was the most stressful time. It was a very stressful time. And the kids were not in school. Like, it was just like, I didn't plan anything. It was like, we're just going. And so I had to be to work the next day. And my manager was like, look, I know you're exhausted. Take the day. You just flew across country. Take the day. Cool. So anyway, long story short, we found our own place within a month. His friend was very nice and he had a girlfriend in New York. So he flew to New York and stayed with her and gave us the place for like, a month while we were finding out where we were going to be. We found our own 2-bedroom apartment in North Hollywood and we got situated there. We didn't stay in North Hollywood very long though. It wasn't bad, but it was just like,
yeah,
this ain't for kids.
So your time at Bank of America, is that when the seeds were being planted as far as business, finance, economics?
I believe so, yes, because I was able to listen in on very high level conversations. And what we did in particular, and I feel like this really struck a lot in me when it came to like leadership development, because that was the scope of HR that I was in. It was HR leadership development. What we would do is something called talent planning. We had a talent planning season where we would sit down with all of the executives, okay, and we would go through their whole organization. As we would go through their organization, we would go through like, okay, what leaders do you have in your organization? What leaders are meeting or exceeding their goals? What leaders are not meeting their goals? And we would move people around, obviously having very in-depth conversation with the executive or director of that line of business and move people around. So I was like, oh, okay, this is how they do it. And it was very interesting to see, I could see salaries, I could see stuff like that. So it gave me an idea of like, oh, okay, this is how it's done. This is how a corporation is ran. This is what, board members make.
Okay.
I could see what the board members make. I could see this and that. It was very privy to that kind of information because my manager was an HR manager for HR. So we could see all of that stuff. And it was very interesting to just be in that type of position and role. And it really did strike a sense of leadership in me and like I wanted to know more and do more. So that's really what kind of threw me into the line of work I'm in now.
So, what was the moment for you that you said, you know what, no more 9 to 5. I want to be my own boss. What prompted that?
Yeah. So, okay. Moved to LA in 2007 with that whole Bank of America thing. They gave me the job. The bank was going through that whole transition. We were going through a recession.
Right.
Yes, it was the bailout. The government was bailing out a lot of these financial institutions. And Bank of America did some terrible acquisitions with wide. So they started to lay a lot of people off. And I got laid off in 2009. They did give me a severance package, which was cool. It wasn't a lot of money though. Like,
Mm.
it went like that. So they did give me a severance package, but at that point, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And I went for a job interview at another bank called Bank of the West. So the job that I went for, it wasn't even like to the caliber of what I was doing for Bank of America.
Mm.
The hiring manager absolutely loved my resume. And he said, God, you have the experience, you have everything. He said, you just don't have the education.
Ouch.
So I know. So I had to go on all of these interviews, these rounds of interviews. And as I'm going on these rounds of interviews, everyone liked me. And they said, we're going to change his position to where you don't need a college education. But I guess it just didn't fly with whoever had to stamp off on it.
Okay.
So long story short, I didn't get the job after
Okay.
like months of going through their interview process. So at that point, I said, you know what? F this. I'm never letting any company control the livelihood of myself and my family ever again. I said, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's definitely entrepreneurship. And I had a friend at the time and she thought I was insane. She said, wait a minute, girl, you mean to tell me you're not going to get another job? I said, I'm not going to get another job. I was in my 20s in that free spirit, like you said, and I was so adamant about it. And dibbled and dabbled with a little bit of stuff. And then I ran into, we made a friend and in an apartment complex we lived in, and she was a retired engineer and her husband was a PE, which is a professional engineer. And they were living in LA just for a moment while he was working on a project with the metro system. He was like the head engineer. And so she said, you need to go to school. She said, you need to get your degree. You need to go to school. So I was like, and she said, you need to start a business. I was like, okay. So, I mean, I was young. I listened. And like, I started a business, went to school, did everything she told me to do, advised me to do, because I really looked up to her a lot. And got into school and I studied paralegal studies.
Okay.
And because I was very interested in law, like always interested in law and like, what, how can this be beneficial to the people? How can we, use the law where it's advantageous for us?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And went to school for paralegal studies while I'm finishing like my last year, because I was going for an AA. And I did get it. I graduated cum laude. A contract came through, a government contract with Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, LADWP. It was a 6-figure contract. That was my first government contract ever.
Okay.
And my friend, or I'll call her my mentor, who was a retired engineer, that's what she used to do. And she coached me through it.
Okay.
She would approve those type of contracts in the state of New York, where she, and then she moved on to start getting contracts herself for her business. And she walked me through it. And basically I would provide porta potties, dumpsters, pallets of bottled water, and ice machines
Okay.
to them for this huge construction project. I didn't own any of this stuff. I just like drop shipped. And I would like, I didn't own any of this shit. And I would like call around, talk them down, find the lowest price from vendors. And I would get them to set me up on a net 30. After I get them to set me up on a net 30, at that point, I would just have them drop ship everything. And then I remember them saying, LADWP, like, oh, you need business insurance. I didn't have any money. Couldn't afford no business insurance. So I just called the vendors and I told them who were supplying the stuff for me. I said, add my business to your insurance temporarily while you're in this contract. And they all did it. It didn't cost them anything.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, it didn't cost them anything. So they added me. So we did that. And okay, this is where I didn't have the business knowledge and I wasn't really too business savvy at that time. And I didn't have, I just didn't have the acumen that I have now because I was overcharging the hell out of LADWP for this stuff. Every single government contract, they have to include advantage business when it's a large contract like that. Like the deal was like $80 million. So they had to have a disadvantaged business like mine, woman owned, minority owned. So it's a huge, opportunity right there for, business owners like you, myself, or whoever to kind of, take advantage of that. And they put me on, they called me. I didn't even pursue that contract. They called me and said, hey, can you provide this and this? We have a project, da, 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 da. So let me go back to what I was saying. So I am in this contract, I was paying like $800 a month for the dumpsters. Mm-hmm. I was charging them $10,000 a month for the dumpsters.
Oh, wow. I mean,
I didn't know. I was just throwing numbers out of my ass. I didn't know. And so and I was like, okay, maybe it should be my profit margin, my, this and that. And so I was doing it and they were paying it. It was such a small piece of their $80 million contract that they just didn't really care about.
Okay.
And, handling those logistics of it. So, but they only had me on that project for a year.
Okay.
If I would have had the business savvy, I was doing all kinds of stuff. Like I went and this is my first time making 6 figures. So look, we wilding. We out here, we vacationing. I'm getting checks every week. And I said, you know what? I want surgery. I went and got I went and got a tummy tuck. I wanted to do lipo, but the doctor I chose, she couldn't do the lipo at the same time. So I paid all this money for this tummy tuck. And literally, I'm recuperating from my tummy tuck. And they call me, LADWP, and say they're dropping me. They're canceling my contract. It's been a year and they're going to move in other directions. And I'm pretty sure they just reached out to the vendors, the suppliers I was using, and just went directly with them and cut me out as the middleman.
Yeah.
And my friend was like, you should file a complaint, and this and that. And I said, I just let it go. So at that point, my credit sucked. All right. Sucked. I had terrible credit. So I kept seeing this lady online, talk about credit repair, how she could repair your credit, da, 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 da. So I was like, let me just do it. So I paid her to repair my credit. And then I paid her to repair my husband at the time, his credit. And she got us booming up in the 700s pretty quick. Showed us what to do. Da, 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 added some trade lines, this and that. After, we wiped off all the negative accounts. We were rocking and rolling at that point. Now, don't forget, I have a paralegal studies degree at this time. I'm looking at the paperwork and I'm paying attention to what she's doing because I'm not dumb. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I can do this. And I actually know law. I'm not a research law. I just learned how to do that. So I started doing credit repair for some people, some friends and family and things. And then I said, all right, it's time to rock and roll and turn into a business. Started advertising on social media, turned into a business, and then it just blew up from there. It went crazy.
So let's shift gears a bit. So you are a proud autistic mom or mom of autism. Can you talk about how much of a struggle that was in the beginning, and how long did it take for the diagnosis to come in? Because back then it wasn't, there was no real spectrum or anything like that, or any terms autistic. They pretty much labeled everybody the same. So
Yeah.
can you talk about that part of your struggle?
Yeah, that's an interesting journey because when my baby was normal, like I already had two kids. I know what, he was my third child, and I already knew what a kid should be doing at certain developmental stages. He started like crawling and walking really fast though. He was like crawling at like 6 or 7 months, and he was walking at like 10 months. So he was like, really fast and quick on his feet with certain things. And then all of a sudden, when he was like 18 months, everything just changed. I don't want to get into what happened as to why things changed because it's very controversial.
Okay.
But I mean, hey, forget it. I'll put it out there like vaccines. Like
Okay.
after my son got a slew of vaccines when he was like 16 months, he was different immediately.
Mm.
Immediately. Like I've never, ever, ever seen something like that, like instantly different. So the doctor we had at the time, he said, oh, he's probably just fussy from. I said, no, something's off. And he was just like nonverbal at that point. And he used to like bang his head on the wall and like never experienced stuff like that. So then I just like started doing research, and I found out that sometimes in some kids, like cow's milk has casein in it, and it can make them do that. It's kind of like heroin to their system. So it took him totally off of cow's milk and just no milk at all at that point. And he stopped banging his head on the wall. But what the diagnosis came from this, because I still really couldn't pinpoint what was going on. I had him in daycare, and the daycare provider, she said, look, honey, I can't do anything with him. She was like, take him to the regional center and get him tested. The regional center is a place out here in California for people with disabilities. They offer different services. They can even do a diagnosis. So set up the appointment, and they put him with a doctor and said, yep, diagnosed him with autism, severe autism. That was a blow that like, you're like, wait a minute. Nah, it's hard to digest that something is like, quote unquote, wrong with your kid. So they were like, all right, he needs this therapy, that therapy, that therapy. Now, my ex-husband was like kind of in denial, and he really wasn't ready to face it. But I was like a person of action. I'm like, they're saying he needs these services. Let's do it.
Right.
Occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, this and that. Let's do it. So immediately it's a ton of therapy. And he went into like a special education preschool through the school district, which helped him a lot. Okay. I mean, hey, they potty trained him. And everything because I couldn't do it. We couldn't do it. And I didn't have those difficulties with my daughters. And they potty trained him and, got him on track. Now, when it came time for kindergarten, the school district, you have these things called IEP meetings. They wanted to put him in a special education kindergarten class. They said, you can go view the class. I went and I viewed the class and I didn't like it. I viewed several. They said, we have several schools. Go look at, all of them. I took a look and I hated it. And I said, I don't like it. It's like kids strapped down in seats and stuff. And I was like, that's not for him. And so I told them, I said, I know you can provide a SKIA is what they called it in that school district, special circumstance instructional assistant or something like that. And they were like, well, that's for special circumstances. And they were looking at me like, how does she know that? And I said, so what makes my son not a special circumstance?
Right.
So then the head of the special education department was like, we'll try it and we'll see how it goes. And then we'll go from there. And so I'm like, okay. But I mean, at the end of the day, I knew that it was my choice anyway. Like, what you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, you're like, I will fight this. Now, granted, my son went into kindergarten into a mainstream classroom with kids who did not have, like any diagnoses that we knew of anyway. And he probably should not have been in that classroom. Slide. He would just run around the whole time and just cry underneath the desk. And the teacher would be like, hey, and then he had his aide who was there specifically for him. And I was like, no, we're going to stay the course. We're going to stay the course. I was very stubborn. I'm a very stubborn person. So fast forward to first grade, it got better.
Okay.
Fast forward to second grade, it got better. His kindergarten teacher came to me when my son was in the second grade. She said, Miss Rasheed, come here. I need to talk to you. She said, I don't know what you're doing with Anaz, but you keep doing it. He is like a totally different kid from, where he was in kindergarten. Mm-hmm. She said, I commend you. You keep going. I said, okay. So I'm glad that I did that because I feel like kids are like sponges and they learn a lot from each other. Yeah. So my theory was if my son could observe other kids doing what they're supposed to do, listening to the teacher, sitting down, doing their work, he would want to imitate those behaviors.
Okay.
And yeah, and so now he's 17, just turned 17 last week. Super outspoken, amazing vocabulary, uses very colorful words. He just knows things. That super intellectual kid, very intuitive. We still have our things we're working through.
Okay.
But he has a lot of friends, which, I was shocked at how popular he was at his school when I figured it. When I saw, I was like, wow, he's really popular. And he's just a likable guy, and he's very outgoing, which is different for people on the spectrum. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not, but most of the time they're not. He'll just go up and start talking to people, having conversation, asking them questions.
So how immersed are you in the autism community? Do you kind of compare your experiences to other parents of autistic kids and be like, you know what, maybe they're doing something wrong because what I did with mine worked? Or do you find yourself doing that at all? Or you're just in the community and you just welcome, the fellowship?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
And that's probably kind of shocking. No, I'm a huge advocate of my son and, his friends and stuff, but I'm not. I don't look at people because everybody's journey is different. I can't, your baby may need something different. The spectrum is so broad. The umbrella is so broad. He has friends who are on the spectrum and he has friends who are not on the spectrum.
Okay.
And they all have different needs. And I mean, we all have our idiosyncrasies, you know what I mean? But I don't I'll share certain tips and stuff, with certain people, especially the moms with younger kids on the spectrum. If they ask, I'll share certain things, but I'm gonna be like, oh girl, you need to do this. No, because, you're going through your own journey. If you ask for it out, I'll give you what I did. Right. You take from my situation what you feel like resonates with you and what could possibly work for you.
You guys were part of a documentary. How was that?
Oh, a documentary? You say I was?
Weren't you guys in wasn't you guys filmed
Oh,
took part in
oh,
a special of some sort, if I remember correctly?
oh yeah. So it wasn't a documentary.
Okay.
So basically, what it was, a nonprofit organization. Um, they help people with disabilities through the arts,
Okay.
and they wanted to create a movie, and they were looking for a main character of the movie. I have a friend. Her sons are they're very well known in the industry. Um, Her name is Yolette Hodge. Her sons are Aldous Hodge and Edwin Hodge. They're very, very, very well known actors in the
Wait,
industry.
Aldous Hawkman?
Yeah, Hawkman. Yeah,
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
they're
okay, okay,
they're they're really good friends of mine, like for years now. Gosh, since
okay.
my oldest daughter was in high school, she's 26 now, so it's been knowing them for many, many years.
Nice.
Very wonderful people down to earth, and she was like, "Look, your baby may be interested in this role. I don't know." She said, "You just go check it out." So we went, and the director and the producer, we all like just clicked. It meshed well. So we became a part of the project. Now the project, it displayed certain things that goes on that we experience with like the schools, IEP meetings, and his father and I, we got a divorce. So it also displayed like a component of that. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Just now, the situation was not all the way real because there was certain things that was made up. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
okay,
But it was based on a true story. You know what I
okay.
mean?
Gotcha.
But like they had us getting off of a city bus and walking in. We don't be on no city bus. Nothing wrong with it, but listen, we did at one point. But you listen,
Certain things you don't go back to once you've upgraded. Yes, I agree.
not even say you don't go back to it. I won't even say that because look, God got a way of humbling you. But
True.
prayer, by the grace of God, we ain't getting off no city bus. And that was one of the scenes. They had us getting off the city bus, me kind of pulling him along and kind of frustrated and stuff. But it's a really good, like 10-minute film. It's
Okay.
like 10 minutes. It's so good
Okay.
because my son was really able to hone in, like when I say on his character.
Mm,
The director told me the strengths I like was able to show. He said it takes my adult acting students years
mm.
to do what your son did with zero acting experience, zero training. So he's really a natural. Like he's a natural. I'll send it to you so you can see it.
Okay, definitely.
It went on to the film went on to be a finalist in 3 different film festivals.
Oh, okay. Awesome,
In
awesome.
3 different film festivals.
Nice.
And so we went to a film festival where they showcased it. And it was a surreal experience to be in a theater and see yourself on a screen in the theater.
Is that something you wish you want him to kind of pursue, the acting, if it arises further down?
It can. Like my daughter did that. My middle daughter, she did that. I only have 3 kids, but the middle kid, she did that for many years. We had great moments, and then we had some not so good moments in the
Okay.
industry. Totally up to him. Definitely not forcing him to do it. It would be totally his choice, his call. But he's an amazing chef. He wants to have his own restaurant and
Okay.
bake. Like literally, he's an amazing chef.
Okay.
Amazing.
Good,
Mhm.
good, good. So let's do a pivot. I want to talk some finances, economics, and when it relates to Black folk. Um, Now, I have a certain opinion that will never close this wealth gap. They keep showing images of us versus everybody else. Um, First, what do you say to that? How do you even entertain discussions like that at this point in your career or in your entrepreneurship?
You know what? Honestly, the numbers are the numbers.
Okay.
You can't dispute or negate the numbers. It shows there's a huge wealth gap, in the African American community compared to other communities. Um, but I do feel that we are in a disadvantage in a lot of situations. And but what I don't like to do is I don't like to use numbers and the facts as my truth,
Okay.
because I'm a person that believes in breaking down barriers. I'm a person that believes in rising to the occasion. I'm a person that believes in okay, you may say this, but I know me, I know my faith, and I know what I'm capable of and what I can do. We can overcome. I've overcome a lot of stuff in my life. We can overcome a lot of things, and we can accomplish anything that we put our mind to if we just, pursue it and work hard to it. But we are at a huge disadvantage.
Okay. When you hear people use the term generational wealth to kind of attract audience from us, um, do you feel that's being disingenuous, or do you? I don't see you talking to the kids like generational wealth, and I'm doing all this to provide y'all generational wealth. Yeah, you can't mess this up. I don't see you doing that. I don't see you having those kind of conversations. Tell me if I'm right or am I wrong on that?
No, I don't see it as disingenuous. I honestly, it's generational wealth is important, but there's so many vehicles that we can utilize to set that up. You know what I mean? A lot of people have generational wealth because they set their kids up for success in so many ways once they pass on. Like, do you have life insurance policies where your kids can be left with a little seed? You know what I mean? Or inheritance. I have a friend, she's a trust fund baby, literally, and she's African American. Literally, her parents, she's my age. Her parents from a young age, had the financial literacy to set up a trust fund for her and her siblings, and they get money every month in their 40s, 50s, however they are now, from their trust fund because their parents set that up for them. Like, it's possible, you know what I mean? It's definitely possible. It's just about, having the knowledge and utilizing those vehicles and getting there. But I think at the bare minimum, like, have life insurance. You know what I mean? So therefore, when you do pass on, your kids will have something to work with, and just teach them about what to do, where the, put their money and things like that. Like, just you teach them. I sit down with my autistic son and I show him about stock options. I show him about forex, trading forex. I show him about insurance. I let him sit in and watch me in meetings when I used to go, and like, my kids observed that. My oldest daughter, not so much, because I really didn't start kind of propelling in my career until she was 18 or so, you know what I mean? But they were able to see me speak in front of large audiences, thousands of people at one time. I would bring them to those events, bring them to my, meetings, team meetings, let them listen in onto my calls and stuff like that. And, I think it's kind of like osmosis a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, if you're in that environment, something's going to stick.
Right. Right.
Something's going to stick, So that's just, what I instill in my kids. And, prayerfully they can go on and do some amazing things, and impact a lot of other people.
Okay. So before I get back to your life story, do you concern yourself with the plight of the African American community on a financial basis, or you just like, me and mine are going to be fine. That's all that matters.
So I don't. Okay, here's the thing. I don't get too wrapped up into the politics of things.
Okay.
I don't get to, and it's not that I'm like pro this or pro that or nay this and nay that. I don't get too wrapped up into it. You know what I mean? Vote how you want to vote, you know what I mean? And things of that nature, whatever resonates and feels good with you. And, as long as you're making an educated choice, you know what I mean? I don't get wrapped up into that stuff because, you could really hop off into the deep end, and I want to stay on the light. I want to stay in the light. I do. I'm a person who I want the good energy.
Okay.
So, I love us. I want to teach us. I want to help us, but I don't go too far into that stuff because it's like, what are your personal and individual goals? What do you want to accomplish? And I'm sure, okay, so like I truly believe in each one, teach one. You know what I mean? And so, and I know that what I'm doing is effective because many people that I've coached and mentored have gone on to earn 6 figures, 7 figures in their careers, and they've been able to take a little piece. Even if someone's been able to just do something very small, like this is not even small, like increase their credit score or make money from something or just get the courage to be an entrepreneur, that means I'm doing my part. You know what I mean? I'm doing my part. So every person's journey is different. And in your journey, if you learn something and you find success in it, share it with someone. Let them know how you did it, how it was done. And then hopefully that can stick with that person and they can go on, find their own success. And then, it's a snowball effect. It just keeps in a positive way.
Right.
And it just keeps going and going and going. And then, we're all just sharing and glowing and growing, but yeah, I don't get too far off. You won't ever see anything like that on my page. You won't. Like you won't.
Yeah, no, that's I tell people like, yeah, just moderation, man, because once you go down that rabbit hole, it's just there's no coming back from that, and it'll warp your sense of view, how you look at everything, and it's like it'll never be the same for you. So yeah, I tell people just kind of just chill on that stuff. So let's get back. 2008, you're doing the trade lines, you're popping because that's when I think I met you around that time,
Yeah.
and so during that course, what are you taking away from it as you're helping people build the credit lines, trade lines, all that good stuff? So what are you, at that point, what are you taking away from it? And then what's the next move that you're plotting during that time?
So, what I take away from it is, you want to have an excellent credit score. You do. You definitely want to have an excellent credit score. You definitely want to get your credit in the 700s. You do, so that you can acquire the things you need to acquire. So much is based around your credit score. Your car insurance in certain states, in California, they don't, but in certain states, it's a lot of things is based around your actual credit score. It's important to get those things together. As far as the trade lines, authorized user trade lines are cool. I did it for my kids when they were 17. I added them to my credit cards as an authorized user. So when they turned 18, their credit scores were well above 700. And then they can go and apply for their own credit. So that's the whole premise of an authorized user. So, we can add people to our credit cards as an authorized user to help them increase their credit score and to go and apply for the things they need to apply for. If you have a family member that can do it for you, I have a family member do it for you. Make sure they're responsible, making sure they're not, they're not overutilizing their credit cards every month, and they're not paying their credit card late, because that wouldn't help you. It wouldn't be advantageous for you to do that. But I think everyone should have a good credit score. It's important. You know what I mean? Definitely I will always help people in that room and in that sector. That's what they've known me for over 10 years now, for doing that. So I've definitely helped people in that room. And now what I'm doing, I'm very, very interested and intrigued in trading, because I've always seen so many people to say, like, hey, and I know people personally. I have a friend, my gosh, she's a multimillionaire. She's a CPA, excellent CPA, a multimillionaire. She has clients who are just very elite. One of her clients is, the second richest family in Japan. And I met her client, and just amazing. But anyhow, she texted me last night and she was like, I was like, hey girl, where you been? She said, oh, I'm sorry, I missed your call. She said, I was checking my crypto. And she said, I went up 100K. And I was like, that's what's up. Like, it's just certain investments and stuff. Like, that's really what I'm trying to learn, because I didn't hop on that huge wave that was happening in 2020.
Yeah.
And even my sister, like, she didn't do like forex or crypto, but she did like stocks and stock options in 2020. And she happened to check some stocks that had fallen back then, and she logged in, her and her husband, to check those stocks, and she said she couldn't believe how they rebound. She said she
Mhm.
hadn't checked them in years, and she had some coin, some bank, and she was like, okay, they're talking with a wealth advisor to do some moves. So it's just, that's really the timing that we're on right now.
Okay, so this is where you're at right now: forex, crypto, stocks. Um, is that for the average person?
Oh my God, I feel like it is. Absolutely. I mean, don't expect to get rich overnight. Like, nothing works that way. Don't expect to get rich overnight. That's not how it goes. It's an investment. You have to invest and see it grow. Now, Forex is more so like, the trading, and you got to be more on top of it. Luckily, I'm a part of a platform that has educators that are like licensed with the SEC, and they give these education ideas. And if you want to take the education idea, you can take the education idea and trade the forex. It's super simple. It's like literally an app that the company has. They'll send you a notification, education idea. If you want to enter the trade, you just swipe right on your app. You can set the parameters in advance, to show how much of your account you want to put in each trade. You swipe right, it puts you in the trade, and the stop loss is set and stuff like that already. You can, in one trade, you want to switch it up. Maybe you want to invest a little bit more. I'm conservative. I only do a very small percentage of my account, just gradual growth. But let me tell you something. If you take $100, all right, and this is with any vehicle that you can do it with. You got, find a vehicle that's right for you. If you take $100 and you just grow it by 10% every day, okay, for 90 days, you'll have $531,000 at the end of 90 days.
Is that provided you make the right trades during those 90 days?
Yeah, well, it depends on what vehicle you're using. So if
Okay.
you're trading, then yeah. So if you're trading, then yeah, you know what I mean? But if you find a vehicle that can get you there, whatever it is,
Mhm.
you grow it, your money by 10% every day, at the end of 90 days, you'll have $531,000. Now, let's say you get half of that right, half of it, because if you're doing investments, obviously you're going to take some losses, you know what I mean, with some investments. But if you have proper risk management, and if you only are very, very careful with your account, only doing just a little bit, not over leveraging,
Mhm.
and you're only doing a certain percentage, whether it be, maybe 5% a day, where you're putting it in there, into each trade or whatever. I mean, if you lose 5% of your account, it's not a big deal. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So you just enter the trades or whatever. Now, I had a thought I was going to tell. Oh, let's say you get half of it right,
Okay.
with losses and stuff. At the end of 90 days, if you end up with 250 grand, then that's still pretty good. Let's say you get half of that right, half of the half.
Yeah, 125. Yeah. That's a
Let's
win.
say you get half of the half of the half.
Mm-hmm.
Half of 125 is what, no, 60 something?
60.
60 something.
Too early for math. It's
Right.
California. Come on, we too early for the math.
Too early, too early. But this is what I'm saying. Like, just find a vehicle that's right for you. You do want to educate yourself, and with the platform, we do educate. They have
Okay.
educators that, I'm not saying I'm a professional at it. I'm still being educated myself. That's the track that I'm on now, is really becoming well versed in that particular field.
Gotcha. Okay, it's 62.5.
Oh.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, in
Mm.
your journey, investment journey, do you see there's this stigma with us that we get into investments for the wrong reasons? It's the quick, rich scheme, and we're not financially trained to think long term, unlike everybody else. I mean, in the 80s, we weren't reading the Wall Street Journal, they were. Um, are you seeing that, or are you seeing people kind of catch up and like, okay, maybe we should take a page from their book and look into the stock market and things of that nature? Or are you seeing people get into it for the wrong reasons?
Well, what would be the wrong reasons to get rich quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to have individuals like that. They're just looking for a quick come up. You're always going to have individuals that way. Um, there's an old saying, too far, too fast won't last.
Okay.
Steady growth is where you want to be. But I do think there's like an awakening that's happening, especially within millennials and Gen Z. You
Okay.
see, I feel like there is an awakening that's happening, and people kind of see, hmm, maybe I should be looking into other things. But have a diverse portfolio though. Have your different investment vehicles. I don't do anything with life insurance, but get you some policies. You
Okay.
know what I mean? One for the death benefits and one for the actual compound interest, part of it, component of it. You know what I mean? Get you different investment vehicles and just really take it from there. Do what resonates with you and get financial advice. And none of this, by the way, for legal purposes, should be considered or construed as financial advice or legal advice.
Gotcha. Well, let me ask you, how has your life changed as you've climbed the social ladder? Because I see you as a socialite, whether you see it or whether you believe it or not. I see you as a socialite. I've seen it.
You know what's weird? I struggle with imposter syndrome.
Okay, that's been a very recent trend, especially with those of us that achieve. Why do you feel? Why?
I don't know. Like, I struggle with imposter syndrome. It's so weird. It's like, and this is being very transparent. Like, sometimes I'll second guess myself. Like, should I put up this particular post? Should I not put up this particular post? You know what I mean? And then sometimes it's like, just, hey, forget it, just do it. I don't know. I struggle with imposter syndrome and I'm still working through that. It's like I'm a work in progress when it comes to that piece. I can speak life into people all day long. I can.
Mhm.
And it's not like I'm a person who I don't look down on myself or feel, it's just hard for it's kind of like the saying, we're too young to be this old.
Okay.
It's kind of like I've gone through the things I've gone through, I've experienced the things I've experienced, and it's kind of taken a look. I've won so many awards, achieved so many things, and it's just like, I don't know. It feels surreal almost. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like I made it. I mean, and here's the thing, you never really arrive. You should never arrive.
Okay.
If you feel like you have arrived, I feel like you have more growth to do. You can always
Okay.
grow more, do more. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know. It's just, that imposter syndrome. But I'm working through it though. It's just really hard for me to, and it feels super weird when people are like edifying me and they read out like my accomplishments and what I've done. It's like I get shy in a sense. It's so weird.
I never would have guessed that. Never, ever,
I know.
never.
It's so weird. And like if I'm speaking on stage in front of audiences, like immediately after I get off stage, I'm getting better at it, but I used to like get up out of there fast.
Okay.
The energy is sometimes overwhelming for me.
So, the speaking part, that's going to be pretty much a mainstay for you. I think you should not change that.
Oh, public speaking?
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't think that's gonna leave me alone.
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna leave me alone. Just because I had too many people to tell me like I get inspired off of your story. Your story is my story. I've been through abuse, I've been through so many things that I left out of my journey,
Mhm.
um, a lot. You know what I mean? And a lot of women come up to me and say, like, gosh, you inspire, you motivate me. Your story is my story. So I don't think the public speaking component is going to go anywhere.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anything you would have done differently?
Um, I would have used a different lip gloss this morning, honestly, because I'm just like, why are my lips the same color?
Perfect answer.
I don't like my lips being the same color as my skin. I'm like, this is not a good choice. Put some color on them damn lips, girl. Why are you on this camera like that?
um,
But anything I would have done differently. As far as what? Because there's a lot of things I would have done differently.
okay, so well, I guess would you have waited a little longer to have the kids, or
Oh, okay, that's a
do
good
you
point.
think that kind of sped up your growth, having them early and putting the drive into you? Maybe you wouldn't have had this ambition in you the way you do now if you kind of waited and did all the right things per se.
That's a tough question for me because I feel like I couldn't give my kids the childhood they deserved. Um, my son, he wouldn't count, but in that piece.
Okay.
But my two older children, because they're 26 and 24 now, I wish that I could have given them more. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I did the best that I could, or the best that I thought I could do
Yeah.
at that time. It was certain things that they did miss out on, that I just couldn't provide for them. There were certain, emotionally, I wasn't I wasn't emotionally mature,
Okay.
because I'm a kid. I'm growing up with them. And gosh, they're great girls. They really are. And it just really, yeah, for them, I wish I could have waited.
Okay.
I wish to provide them. I wish I would have been more financially stable. I mean, I don't know if there's really ever a perfect time
Right.
to have kids,
Yeah.
or anything, but it happens when God wants it to happen. But I do wish I could have done that part differently. But they wouldn't be here if I did.
Right.
Uh but they're very strong women. They are. They're
Just
super strong.
just like
Mhm.
their mama.
They are. But you know what? I'm tapping into that soft side. I want the soft life. I don't want to be strong no more. I don't want to be strong. I'm tired of that now. I had my run with that. I'm tired of that.
You ready to kick your feet up?
I'm ready to kick my feet up. I don't want to be strong no more. Don't be strong. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I gotta be strong for? I don't do that no more.
Okay. Okay.
And now it's just like I'm more tender. I'm more more emotional. Like emotionally mature and just able to really connect with people on that side now. It's just being older, wiser.
Well, yeah, it's like we were talking the other day, and I said your IG, it's now it's so fun, it's so free, and you just look so just. I'm like, I'm not. This side, he was like, where did this come from? This has been you all the time. This whole time you've been hiding this from us. So, can you briefly speak to that before I let you get out of here?
Yeah, I think now it's like I'm divorced. My kids are. I have a kid who's 17. He's almost grown in a year. I just want to have fun. I just
Okay.
want to have fun. That's where I'm at in life now. I'm like, no more sadness, no more struggle, no more, struggle stories. Like, it's all about fun and uh, just bringing out that, projecting that light. You know what I mean? Projecting that light and just having a good time. That's where I'm at now. And I've always been silly. I've always been, I have an Aries moon. So Aries is like the baby of the zodiac. Leaders, though, leaders. But the baby of the zodiac, I'm a Scorpio sun, rising Pisces, Aries moon. I'm very into that.
Oh boy.
I know. Very into that. So it's like all water and fire. I literally have no earth signs in my chart, nowhere.
Okay.
So it's all, that's why I'm always like, oh yeah, we can do it. Dream big and da 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 da. And like, it's like a lot of fire and passion. But what was the
Uh, oh wait. Oh wow. I'm getting up there
question?
in age. I'm forgetting.
Me too, Slide.
Okay, wait. Oh, the transit, the more showing the softer, fun side of you. Yeah.
Yeah. I just, people need to see that. There's so much sadness going on
Yes.
around us right now. People need to see that good energy, that light, that funness, that's what they need to see right now. So, and that's what I want to show. That's just the spirit and light that I'm in.
Well, I'm enjoying it. I'm inspired. Please promote where people can find you, your businesses, your ventures, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So you can go to my Instagram at Ameenah29. It's AMEENAH, the number 2, the number 9. I'm Ameenah Rasheed on Facebook. Look for the blue check marks because there are a lot of pages impersonating me out there. It's crazy. It is out of control. And Facebook and Meta won't shut them down. I'm like, this is insane.
Really?
You can also go to my website, www.100, the number, Millie, MILLI, credit.com. If you want to know what 100 Millie stands for, 100, obviously the number, and then Millie is Millionaires Impacting Lives Locally and Internationally.
Any last words for the people out there listening, that will be listening?
That will be listening. You know what? Life is too short to hold on to grudges, to hold on to anger and things, definitely connect with your source, find that light in you, and just show it and display it to the world. Make better decisions every day. Just strive to be better than you were yesterday. Stoicism is what we're all about.
I was just listening to some stoicism on YouTube. Holy cow! Get out of my head! Get out of my head! That's scary. No, so thank you for coming through. In scene. Okay, I'll just snip all this after stuff out of it. But yeah, I know you got bags to count and stuff to do. So I'm so thankful that you came through. I'm sorry it took this long. We should have done this a year or two ago. So that's my bad. So yeah. I had fun with this one.
This is so cool. This setup is cool, man. I love what you got going. Like, this is, you know what? Like, I knew you were blowing up, but I didn't know it was on this level. Like,
I just be chilling. I just do my little thing.
You're so low key with it. I'm like, dang, you're so low. Like, pop out, Slide. Pop out. Wait, what's your sign? Do you know your sign?
I'm a Cancer.
Oh shit. Okay.
I get that a lot. I get that a lot.
No, you know what? It makes sense. We're water signs. Cancers and Scorpios, we're there. We're there with each other. But Cancers are leaders. I want you to know that. Cancers are very powerful. Most of the millionaires are Cancers. Cancers and billionaires are like in the top 3.
Okay.
So just outside of money, like Cancers are super intuitive, can read into people like you. Yeah, like blow it up, man. This is the time. Blow it up.
I'll take that. I'll definitely hit you up the next time I'm in LA because I'm there pretty frequent nowadays. So
fun. We'll go. I got some cute little restaurants we can just go do like lunch or brunch at.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay,
all right, get out of here. Go make the money, girl. Go make the money.
All right, you enjoy your Saturday.
Thank you, you too. I'll email this to you in the next hour or so, and then like I said, when you get time, just go over it and whatever you want me to chop up for short vids or whatever for whatever platforms, I'll go ahead and do that for you as well. And then I'll let you know when I premiere this. So
dope. Thank you so much, Sly. Take care.
Thank you. You're welcome. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.